a mistake that we made, or is it something that should be fought for?
If we take it there, it could be the best thing ever. But what if it doesn't work out?
Love is Blind divorces Jarrett and Ayanna, as well as Danielle and Nick, have led to After the Altar coming on Netflix very, very soon, and we're gonna break it all down. So welcome back to our channel, everybody. Lots of Love is Blind Season 2 updates for you today. But before we get into it, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new here. As always, I'm your host, Zachary Reality, with Allison Van Dam and Blakely McHugh, and I gotta know what your reactions were when you found out about these divorces. I mean, 2 in 1 week, and then just convenient timing that the trailer for the new After the Altar comes out the next week.
Well, that's the thing. The first announcement came out and I was heartbroken. And then they doubled down and added both in the same, 48 hours or something. And it made me wonder, are their contracts up? Is there a certain amount of time they had to stay together to keep a ring? Is this like a bachelor style? Are there fine print in their contracts? I don't know, but it did seem a bit weird. Maybe one of them, was just holding out hope that they could make it work. And they're like, well, they got divorced, so we'll do it too. And who knows? But it did seem a bit weird that they both happened at the same time.
Truthfully, I was not shocked by either announcement. I thought that when we saw Ayanna and Jarrett at the very beginning, their worlds were not seeming to align very well. What she wanted was very different from what he wanted. We saw Danielle and Nick have an extremely rocky relationship from the get-go, with her emotions all over the place. And they seemed like their lives weren't quite blending so much. Now, I will say, after the reunion, when we actually got to see their lives together, when Danielle and Nick moved in together, it seemed like maybe that they would mesh and kind of conform, where they both were working with each other. But again, still wasn't shocked when I saw it. But I was genuinely sad, at least for Ayanna, because I just loved her. I thought she was so cute. But I do think that she can do better, so I'm not too mad.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people were really rallying around Ayanna, just saying that Jarrett, he liked Mallory, he may have cheated, blah, blah, blah. So I'm glad that she's moving on, if this is what she decided. I kind of feel like, based on their statement, and I saw Ayanna comment on Instagram that it's not all bad, there's no hate. It kind of feels like they may have kind of been slowly drifting apart for a while, and that does bring into the question that Allison posed, is there a contract? Because it just felt a little bit too fishy with this coming out the week before After the Altar. But I do want to point out, with Nick and Danielle, they have not addressed this publicly. They haven't said anything on Instagram. They haven't given anyone a statement. The only reason we know about this divorce is because it's public records that they legally filed, and Danielle was actually the one to file first. So I think that divorce might be a little bit more deep.
Yeah, I agree. I think that one may definitely be more contentious, especially because it looks like it might have been last month, but it might have been the month before, but they took some really beautiful photos together. So it feels like if this happened, it happened within the last couple of months as a decision. So I'm sure it's still really fresh and new. And to add to what you were saying, Zach, I did notice that Ayanna was posting, she had posted a Simpsons meme of Homer Simpson disappearing into the grass, and she was like, me today. And then Jarrett had reposted it and said, I'm jealous that you're going on vacation next week, where I'm left to deal with this. And then she reposted his repost. So it definitely seems that they are on friendly, good terms, but I'm curious where Nick and Danielle are at.
Yeah, and me too. And I think we'll get these updates during After the Altar. I know they filmed it months ago, so it's kind of, there might not be as many updates on After the Altar based on what their actual life updates are now. So even if we don't get those ins and outs, I think that they'll go on a press tour and promote After the Altar. We'll probably get all the answers. So I'm excited to see either way what the updates are, because I'm a little heartbroken and confused. I was really invested in this season. I wanted both these couples to work out. But hey, I think that's what happens when you meet on a show like this, and you meet through a wall, and then you get married on TV. So After the Altar is coming. Allison, we're going to go through the trailer and some of the clips, but I want to know what you're most excited to see on this special.
I mean, yeah, the timing doesn't work out for us to actually see any of these divorces. I agree with you guys 100% that it feels like Ayanna and Jarrett, like it seems more amicable. Maybe with Nick and Danielle, we will see tensions. Maybe we'll see, you know, the foundation of what led to their divorce. But I'm just excited in general because I felt like after season 1, after the altar was kind of this surprise thing that popped up on my Netflix. I think it was last August, and it had so much more drama and tea than the first season like had in any of the episodes. Literally, we had Francesca showing up and like taking a shot with Giannina at like the engagement / anniversary party, and it was so dramatic. It was like my favorite part of season 1. So I'm sure Netflix has some good stuff for us.
Yeah, well, let's start watching these clips and see what we can pick up, what is being put down. And I definitely have a lot of tea on this, so I'll sprinkle it in as we go through. So let's watch our first clip.
Love is the hardest, best thing that'll ever happen.
How's the dating world?
Some of us are still searching.
Okay, there's so much to go through, but we kind of see Shane almost acting as the narrator. Allison, I know that you have spoken to Shane before. You did an interview with him on the Vile Files recently. What do you think we're going to see from Shane on this special? I'm hoping to see some growth by him. I want to see him in a good place.
I am too, and I think we will see that. I'm wondering if he'll also address, you know, the kind of backlash he got online. There were so many people who were saying, you know, he's using drugs, he's on all these substances, and I think he's trying to like right those narratives or right those wrongs. So I wouldn't be shocked if we do see a different side of him, if he wants to show us, you know, no, I'm like a multidimensional person. Like it's not just, you know, this like aggressive kind of guy that you saw in the first season. I think it's interesting that he's narrating. Like, I think he's just become this very polarizing figure from season 2. And yeah, I'm excited to see, maybe we'll see him dating or talking to Natalie, figuring that whole thing out. I mean, it's just going to be dramatic from start to finish. I love that we saw Deepti at the beginning. I'm like, justice for Deepti. I hope Deepti's in love with a billionaire somewhere and is becoming a queen of some other country because she's perfect. But yeah, it's teasing you right from the beginning.
We'll see things play out with Natalie, but they're definitely like not together today. But I think we'll see more of like what really went down. Blakely, I want to know your thoughts on Deepti and Kyle. We're going to see more of it in the trailer, but we just saw a quick snippet of this. And I'm just like, I need to know the actual tea because they have given us so much speculation for too long. And now everyone accuses them of being clout chasers. But maybe they were never allowed to say anything because of this special coming out. So where do you think they stand?
You know, I feel like unless I'm not keeping up very well, I feel like I haven't seen much of them like out in like in the media recently or posting photos or of them together. Yeah, recently. So I'm kind of curious where the relationship stands and will we get confirmation, because it is actually really nice to see them here together, because everything that we've gotten have been from fans taking like secret videos on the side, or maybe they're in a group photo, you know, like we saw them with Katie and John when they were at Coachella. They took a group photo, but there's so much speculation. And while it's like, okay, we can put 2 and 2 together, you can't technically put 2 and 2 together. You can't just say they're together because you believe that they're together. So I want some confirmation. I want to know how this actually works, because I believe that Kyle said at some point, and correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he say that him and Deepti actually had a really deep connection in the pods, and it was between her and oh gosh, I'm forgetting her.
Shaina?
Shaina, thank you. It was between them two that Kyle was deciding who to propose to, and I don't feel like we ever really saw that. So I want some more in-depth knowledge of that and their relationship that they built in the pods and how it turned into maybe what it is now.
Yeah, I think we're going to get that because we see them, you know, kind of flirting in this clip. We're going to see it in the rest of the trailer. So I think we're going to get some updates on what happened with them after the show. And I think it's much needed because I think they were teasing us for a while. But a lot of this after the altar will focus around Nick and Danielle and Jarrett and Ayanna. And we were just talking about their divorces. But what will actually make air? Let's take a look at this next clip.
Sal moved on. It's just hard.
Marriage is not easy. Like, if anybody tries to tell you it is, there's a lie.
To the pod squad.
What do you think it is about this group of people, Allison, that everyone stayed so connected? I mean, we still see them posting together on social media, hanging out all the time. Is it just that they're all in Chicago?
It's the fact that they're in Chicago. They probably all had similar, intentions and ambitions to even sign up for this show. Clearly they had like tenacity, drive, to get through the casting process, to see this through, to believe in an experiment like this. I mean, there's a lot of similarities right there. And then you go through a social experiment like this, or, meeting someone blind, getting married, that's going to bond you. We see the same thing with Bachelor Nation people. People can't understand what it's like to be on these shows until you're actually the ones being filmed, being part of it. So I think it only makes sense. They're close in terms of location. They're now close in terms of this experience that they've shared. And they probably had similarities before they were even cast on the show to begin with.
I mean, Blakely, can you imagine going on TV, getting engaged and married, and then doing a special, getting divorced? It's like full circle, but it's like, do you feel like we wasted time of our lives? Like we got invested into these couples and now we have to watch them get divorced?
No, it's the name of the game, you know that there's no for sure outcome, and we're invested in this story as a whole, no matter how it ends up. Am I a little disappointed that I feel like there's no successful couples that came out of it? I mean, of course we have Deepti and Kyle that are a potential couple right now, but they didn't come together in the pod and leave the pod and get married, you know what I mean? So am I a little bit disappointed in that? Yeah, because it kind of now feels like it was sort of a flop of a season, but it wasn't, because I enjoyed watching the entire thing. The one thing that really stuck out to me in this last little clip, though, that we just played, do we hear Mallory say something like, it's hard seeing Sal move on? Is that what she says?
Yeah, and I guess you could see here Sal is making out with another girl, right? That's not Mallory.
Oh, I thought that was Deepti for a second.
That's not Deepti.
And
Absolutely
Kyle.
not. No. That is Sal and another girl, which Mallory is going to have to deal with. And
I guess so.
I think Mallory's in a pretty good place in her life. I've noticed she's been doing a lot of like female empowerment work. This purple suit is giving Boss B. So I'm excited to see her as well. But I think just some of the other couples were just so much more dramatic. And we're going to keep getting into them. So let's take another look at this next clip. We're actually going to still see more Kyle and Deepti before we move on to the other couples. So let's take a look.
Deepti and Kyle care for one another.
I just want to be around him all the time, honestly.
But after Shake, she doesn't deserve to go through that heartbreak again.
Okay. So here's the tea. Maybe you guys know this. I did an Instagram live with Shake this week. He did not go to After the Altar. He's not going to be a part of it at all. So that clip that he was just in was just like an old clip. He will not be on the special, no part of it. He was invited to go. He was offered money to go. Did not want to go. Allison, how do you think it's going to play out without Shake? Do you think he should have been there? He doesn't have friends with pretty much no one on the cast.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a viewer, I would love to see the drama. I mean, he brought so much to the season. He was like one of the most talked about kind of players of the season. But if I was his PR team, if I was anyone on his team, I would have probably agreed with the decision. There is so many ways that it could have gone from bad to worse. I think it really comes down to, maybe it's not the right environment for him. Clearly, he was having some issues while filming the season itself. Maybe it's just not the right environment for him. Editing, you always kind of have to just give away certain power in terms of how you're presented, how you're representative in terms of editing. But I mean, it could have been a redemption story maybe for him, but I'm just like, the odds were stacked against him in terms of like really turning our minds around on him. So I guess it's a smart decision for him not to be there, and at least maybe lets Deepti just like breathe a little bit more, actually do what she wants to do. She looks so happy with Kyle, whether or not they're officially together, whether or not, they're just friends. It's nice to see a smile back on her face and just like to be around someone, because I feel like Shake really did a number on her.
He did. But I think he should have went, and I think he should have tried to get redemption. And I think the cast may have even been open to it. Like this would have been great for him, I think, for the audience to just see him get that redemption story. But maybe it just wasn't meant to be. It seems like, he wants to kind of call out a lot of the BS of the cast still to this day. So it probably would have just gotten in the way of some things too. Blakely, what's your take?
I don't think he wants a redemption. I mean, I'm not saying that I think that he likes the way that he was portrayed or that how he was edited, but I think he stands by his behavior. I think he stands by the things that he said. I think he stands by what he believes. And I don't think he cares about having a redemption. I think, even though he got an edit that I'm sure he didn't want and he feels like he's in the right and everybody else is in the wrong, I think his life is kind of where he wants it to be at this point. He got some pretty good publicity from the show, especially being a polarizing, character on it. A lot of people know who he is. Anyone who watches Love is Blind knows who he is. I was watching your Instagram live with him, Zach, and it seems like he's enjoying life at the moment. He's moved on. He has a girlfriend. He's DJing, like you said, all this in your live. So yeah. So I mean, he doesn't really need it any longer. And truthfully, even if he tried to get a redemption, I don't think he'd get it. Shaina a guy that kind of just talks himself into a hole and then continues to dig the hole deeper. And, it's just going to have the same outcome that I think that the last reunion had for him. He's just going to end up frustrated. And at this point, he's like, I don't need it.
Yeah. I think we'll still hear from him, especially when the show airs, at least on social media, if you guys follow him.
100%,
so I think he'll be giving him
yes.
thoughts. And so if you want him there, definitely check him out on social, but he won't be a part of the special. I don't know if they'll even mention him, but it's good that he's not there, I guess, because Kyle and Deepti were curious what is going to come from them. And I think now they have all the time they need to explore this. But let's talk about Natalie. She was the fan favorite last season. She was the star of the show. I feel like we can all agree on that. But what about this time around? It might not go as good for her. So let's take a look.
With Shane, it's the lies.
Behind the scenes, Natalie can be an instigator.
Natalie is telling everybody that she found really inappropriate messages between
I can't help but grin when I watch this trailer, just because I really have talked to pretty much everyone on this cast by now. So I'm just so excited to see it actually on the TV screen. But Allison, what's your take on Natalie? I know you were a fan of Natalie as well. I think she's great. I don't know how well this is going to go for her, especially based on seeing this teaser.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned earlier, I had a whole sit-down talk/interview with Shane, and he was kind of walking us through why their relationship didn't work. And it sounds like it wasn't healthy for either of them. It didn't seem like it was, one perpetrator, one victim constantly. It felt like they both really triggered each other, whether it was going through phones, seeing messages, taking video, it felt like they kind of kept egging each other on. So while I'm obviously not blaming Natalie for the relationship not working out, I think they might share more of the blame than people originally thought. I think Shane got a lot of heat, and because Natalie was, she was America's sweetheart. We watched her at that wedding. We all felt for her and were really rooting her on. And two people can trigger each other and a relationship cannot work, and they can see really bad sides of each other without them automatically becoming bad people. And I think that's something, that gray area is something people need to just fall into more, because I think we all love to point fingers and say, well, you're wrong and you're right and you're terrible and you're perfect. And I just think in the case of Shane and Natalie, it was two people who were never right for each other and actually just egged each other on to the point of both of them not being their best selves.
Yeah, agreed. And I think we also have Shaina coming back into the mix. And she didn't like how her edit was. She didn't like how she got painted as the villain last season. I wouldn't be surprised if she was coming for Natalie. And Shane might have some, animosity towards Natalie. She does have a lot of friends on the show, but it looks like it's just not going to be as smooth for her this time. Blakely, what is your 2 cents on this?
I mean, my thought is I think everybody could see from the start that this was not a couple that was going to be successful. They are two very different people. Their communication styles are very different. I saw nothing that they really had in common with one another. So I saw this happening, from truly the get-go. And I have to say, Zach, I have to go against your comment of her being the fan favorite, because I got to say, Ayanna took my heart. She was my favorite. I loved her the man.
Okay. Ayanna was great. Deepti was also great. They did have a lot of great women. Stacked cast. Well, let's keep watching, because this is going to really unfold with Natalie and Shane, and I think a lot of people are going to be interested. So we have another clip on that. Let's see.
Shaina is the other woman.
She's still trying to tear me down when I've done nothing to her.
There's your trust.
Much more has happened. I need to tell my truth.
This is great. This is really great edited. Allison, Shaina, she actually got married. She got married
I know.
To Christos
She is like the
in Greece.
standalone quote unquote success story of this whole season.
She's showing up. It looks like she's going to show up late to the party because with her husband Christos, and she's out for war with Natalie. Are you excited to see Shaina and get an update? I cannot believe that she ended up being the star. I hope that she reveals that she's pregnant or something because I really want that for her.
This is giving me like this little screen grab right here. This is giving me Meredith Blake went to Europe and found a sugar daddy and she is ready to go. And then we have Natalie doing her little interview portion that makes me think she's going on like 2020 or something, saying like, I have to speak my truth. Like this is editing to its like prime. I'm so excited.
It's so serious. Like, I don't need Natalie saying that she needs to speak her truth about Love is Blind. Like, are we kidding?
Well, I think Natalie feels like, I just think there might be something going on that we don't know the context yet. Because I think that she felt jaded by the way she was portrayed by Shane or Shaina or other people who might be kind of coming for her. So I think that there's more to her story on like what really happened. So I think everybody wants to speak their truth just because this is the reunion. So we really just have to see it play out and the whole story.
Can I also ask, I feel like, the show ended, it's been how long now? It feels like it's a long time. At this point, like, do we still care? I kind of don't care. Like there's been so
Honestly,
much time
Blakely,
that I'm kind of like, I don't care.
No, we care. Blakely, we care. I promise you. I care. And a lot of people care. Like there is a huge audience for this.
I think I only care and I agree, but that's how I felt with season 1. And I was like out on vacation in last August and it popped up on my Netflix of like recommended for you. And I couldn't even remember who any of the people were because I didn't really watch season 1 seriously. And I was like, what is this? But I'll just like put it on for my dog to watch while I go to the Jonas Brothers concert. And then it was like me and my dog sitting on the couch being like, this is incredible.
Listen, there is a huge fan base for this season. I've seen it online. I've seen the community. I think it's doubled since season 1. And Blakely, I think that you're going to love it when you're going to get reeled right back in.
Okay, I am part of the fan base. I just feel like I've lost a little interest in all of this drama because it's been so long.
So long.
Also, I will say, I never watched After the Altar for the first season. So maybe because I didn't see that, that's contributing to why I'm like, whatever.
And honestly, I think you're probably speaking for a lot of people who haven't been keeping up as closely as I have, that there probably are a lot of people who agree with you that are just like, wait, I forgot about this. It has been months. So you do bring a different perspective. I'm coming out here as a super fan of this cast in this season. And I think Allison's kind of in the middle. So I think it's all great. And we do have 2 more clips to go through. So let's take a look at the next one with Ayanna and Jarrett. I guess there's more drama with their divorce.
If you don't make your move, I just don't want you to regret it.
Are you nervous?
A little bit.
My parents know everything.
Is there something that you're not sharing?
He's never been held accountable. He's immature.
Made my bed and I gotta lay in it.
It seems like a lot of this trailer is focusing on their divorce, and we just saw Nick for the first time. But even in the next clip, we don't see much of Nick and Danielle. Allison, what do you think we're going to see from them? And I don't know if you have any more comments on this.
I mean, yeah, I'm trying to, in my mind, compare what we're seeing in this trailer to what we talked about earlier, which is how we've approached, or how they've, I say we as if we're all in this relationship together, how they've approached their divorces. And, like we've said, Jarrett and Ayanna have released, amicable statements. They're reposting each other's things, which would make sense if maybe their tension or, the cracks in their foundation started earlier. They've had more time to process this. Maybe something happened, like we're seeing in this dramatic scene. Maybe there was a cheating allegation or something happened where they've now had time to kind of kind of move on and process it. And Nick and Danielle, we've not heard anything from, so it might be really fresh. It might be new. We also interviewed Nick and Danielle and did a little mediation call with them when they were moving in together at the beginning of their relationship. And it was clear that they were both willing to kind of do the work. We even saw in season 2, like they really had to choose each other and continue to put so much effort into their relationship. So maybe that's why we're not seeing a ton from Nick and Danielle at this point, because maybe there wasn't drama at this point. Maybe it is a recent thing, which is why we haven't heard from them and they're not willing to post anything about it. So in my mind, the timing kind of makes sense.
Interesting. I don't know what we're going to see from them just because we're not really seeing them in this trailer. I do know that they were like the hosts of this reunion. So I remember last season, it was, do you remember who hosted the first one? Allison from season 1 after the altar? It was like one of the couples like put together the party to kind of set it up. So Nick and Danielle are going to be playing that role, I know, for this trailer, for this after the altar. But I don't know if they'll be, getting along or not. But Jared and Ayana's divorce is definitely playing out, which is probably why they had these statements ready to go, right? Like they knew that they were going to have to announce it at this time, considering, this trailer. But Nick and Danielle, it's a little bit more fishy. We have one more clip to go through. And do you guys remember our famous line, love is blurry instead of love is blind? So let's take a look.
Is this a mistake that we made, or is it something that should be fought for?
If we take it there, it could be the best thing ever. But what if it doesn't work out?
Crazy. And of course, it'll be coming to Netflix September 16th. Not sure how many episodes. If I had to guess, I would say 3, because that's what they did last time. Blakely, why don't you go first? And Allison, final thoughts and predictions.
Well, I didn't realize. I thought it was just going to be like a Men Tell All situation where it's one episode. I didn't realize that it's multiple. So that's kind of fun. I think that I just wanted to comment on Jarrett and Ayana. Like we've seen these cracks from the get-go. Her concern about him was that he was immature, and here she is talking about the immaturity again. So to me, I think that they probably their separation is just coming more amicably because this has been something that's been in their relationship that she's known about the whole entire time. And now it's just becoming something that cannot be tolerated any longer. I think that also maybe Danielle and Nick aren't saying anything because they know that how they're being portrayed on this after the altar is going to be like they're in love and things are great. I mean, things are obviously perfect, but maybe they haven't said anything because it's going to be a direct.
Like it's just not going to make sense from where they're at now
a direct
versus
contradiction,
when they filmed it months ago. Yeah.
So
maybe they'll film things last minute.
So it's maybe they'll do that.
Maybe they'll try
have a
and squeeze
statement
something
afterwards.
in the edit.
Yeah. So I think that maybe that's why and maybe that's why we're also not seeing a lot of them. Maybe they've edited more of their commentary or their interactions out of this trailer, or maybe out of the whole after the altar because of where their relationship stands right now. But I will say this trailer has made me a little bit excited.
Or Netflix, since Netflix is so obvious, they're probably going to let Nick and Danielle put their statements out the week of when this comes out. They wanted Jared and Ayana to do it when the trailer came out, and then a couple days before, September 16th, then Nick and Danielle will finally speak just to get viewers in, because Netflix is just so obvious.
Your O didn't sound like you came up with that you had like a light bulb go off. Your O sounded like you just hurt yourself. Like I thought I needed to ask you if you were okay.
Oh, no. A light bulb came off. It was a light bulb. This just clicked. It's been something I've been thinking is simmering on, but it just clicked. Bing.
Got it.
Next time I'll get a light bulb.
Being in the middle of this. I just
Quite
feel
literally.
like it's like a Brady Bunch moment.
Final thoughts, Allison?
I want to turn to Deepti with the final line of I hear your fears of what if we take this romantic and it doesn't work out and we lose each other? Here's the thing, girl. You already have romantic feelings toward one another. This is more than a friendship to begin with. You can find other strictly platonic friends, but at this point, you either need to take it to the next level or you have to walk away, because this in between is probably not working for either of you, and it's probably just confusing you even more. So I would say, give it your best shot. And if it doesn't work out, you can take some time apart and then maybe still hang out as a group. But friends aren't putting hair behind girls' ears, and friends aren't putting the arm around you. Like this is so much more than a friendship, and it's so clear to everyone else that it is. So I hope she just goes for it. And if it crashes and burns, it crashes and burns, but at least you tried.
Yeah. I mean, and I hope that we get this update on them specifically by when this comes out, whether it's in the interviews after or during the filming, but we do need to know because they've been teasing us for too long, and clearly they explored their relationship. Did you hear that bump, Blakely? That I just stubbed my toe on the chair.
I did hear that one, yes.
Okay, well, it's time to end this panel. We need to know your thoughts and your predictions for After the Altar in the comments below. Before you head out of here, do not forget to subscribe, ring the bell so you're always up to date. We'll definitely be back in a few weeks to discuss the show when it comes out. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, I'm your host, Zachary Reality, with Allison Van Dam and Blakely McHugh. Our socials are on the screen right now, so be sure to give us a follow. Come check out my live with Shake if you're curious on my page right now. And thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.